Every time you put something up on a pedestal, you immediately create a distance between it and yourself. Why do we do this when it comes to our purpose? We have this habit of careerizing our purpose. We believe that our purpose is something that will bring us monetary value. We think that when we get that job or that paycheck or we're finally running that successful business, then we'll be in our purpose, then we'll be happy. But I'm here to tell you that your purpose isn't something that you should be finding your sense of self, your sense of value and worth in. It's nothing that should be placed on a pedestal that is seen as something that is external of you. I believe that we all have a very special purpose in this life, and each of our purposes is designed to be very unique, specifically to fit us. None of our purpose is something that's going to be judged as one purpose is better than another purpose, or one person is living more in their purpose than someone else's. That is actually a very egoic way of how we can approach this discussion over purpose. For example, someone who makes the best fried chicken in town at a small restaurant in rural America has just as much value in their purpose as someone who is a multi-billion-dollar company CEO. And another side to this is seeing the value of how a stay-at-home mom's purpose is just as valuable as someone who is a multi-billion-dollar company founder. All to say that there is no one method to determine if someone is living in their purpose or not. And who's to say that there's also only one purpose that we have in our whole lives? As a student, our purpose in that phase of life is to go to school, learn, make friends, and be disciplined. At a later phase of life, that obviously changes and it's different for every single one of us. Sometimes being lost or trying to find yourself by exploring multiple different hobbies in that phase of your life is your purpose. You're not actively getting any monetary value out of it. You're not actively giving your life to service. You're not out there on the field helping people in any way. But in that moment, your purpose is to self discover, to learn about yourself, to see what you enjoy and learn about what you like and don't like. In that phase of life, that is your purpose. And that has just as much value as somebody who is out on their field doing something that we put on a pedestal as a higher value in purpose. For example, someone who is a doctor in the standards of society is someone who is seen as someone living in their purpose because you're out in the field directly interacting and helping patients and improving patient lives. But let me tell you that the engineer who works behind the scenes may also be someone who is equally important in providing service to that patient, maybe in terms of the medical healthcare devices that he's able to bring out to the patients. He's not necessarily actively on site with patients, but his work and value and unique set of gifts is just as important in the space of innovation to directly or indirectly save the patient. It's that mindset around how we look at what purpose is, what our mindsets are surrounding that sense of purpose, and tapping into those feelings that living in your purpose brings so you'll be able to better strategize and move within your daily lives to complete this life's mission or your destiny. I believe that we all have a destiny that's unique and special to us, and our purpose is a way of serving in this everyday reality to get to that destiny. But I believe our purpose is a byproduct of following our passions. With that, welcome to episode 14 of the Mindset Mentors podcast. I am your host, Nikki K. And on this podcast, we discuss self discovery, self development, spirituality, and so much more. I can't believe we're already at our 14th episode. I've been having so much fun creating these episodes that I don't want to take a break. This episode, especially, was just so incredibly special to me because it's based on the realization that I've had within myself surrounding this topic and discussion of finding our purpose. Because I feel like after 2020, most people I speak to are thinking about their life purpose, thinking about their legacy, thinking about how to really make a difference in this world and use their own set of unique gifts. And I'd say maybe 10, 20 years ago, we weren't even really actively thinking about what our purpose might be. We were just kind of going along with the ride and doing what everybody else was doing. But there's a shift in perspectives, a shift in consciousness where we are now tapping more into ourselves to find that purpose and to show up in the world in a way where we are of service and able to provide and learn not only about ourselves, but also be able to use that for service to other people. When I decided to take a break from my traveling about 5 to 6 months ago, I really didn't know what I was doing, to be honest. I didn't know if I was making the right decision. On the outside, my page on Instagram was growing. I was traveling, seeing a lot of beautiful places, taking beautiful pictures. But a part of me really felt for the first time in a long, long time out of alignment. And I was really confused about how I was feeling out of alignment doing the thing that I love to do so much, which was travel. It's a hobby, but I was doing it more seriously. So I was pursuing it really as a job. So, yes, it did lead to burnout, and I had to come full honesty with myself and decide to take that break for my mental and physical well being. Did I think that I was out of purpose because I chose to come home and stay without traveling for at least 6 months? Yes. I thought I was lazy, becoming irresponsible, and I was incredibly self critical. Only later on, I realized that this break was something of a higher calling. And I had to follow that inner voice. This break was actually also a part of the purpose because it gave birth to this podcast. And this podcast has opened up a whole lot of new opportunities, not even going into all the things I have learned as a result of starting and running this podcast, and all the skills that I have gained, all the technical knowledge that I have. Now, am I saying that this podcast is going to be my end all be all destiny? Maybe, but maybe not. But it's that feeling of joy and ease that is bringing me, and this feeling of internal alignment that I feel, to me, says that I am in some kind of in alignment with my purpose in this specific phase of life. So let's talk more about what those feelings are and what those feelings feel like to your consciousness when you are in your purpose. Number one, your purpose will feel joyful to you. Following your little passions that excite you will make you feel joyful. It'll make you feel happy because you're just doing it. It'll make you forget about time because you're fully in a flow state and having so much fun that you don't realize how much time flies by while you're doing that thing. So, your purpose is then essentially you following those little passions every single day. It causes you to experience pure joy and happiness. And as you're following this bliss in your flow state, your purpose becomes a byproduct of that passion and ends up serving people around it. So, for example, going back to the fried chicken lady, right? She makes the best fried chicken. And guess what? She has so much fun creating recipes and coming out with new dishes for her customers. Her purpose is being served because those people who are eating the fried chicken are getting benefited. So, in that moment, the lady making the fried chicken is living in her purpose because she is serving people by just having fun doing it. Using myself as an example, my travel content is pretty selfish. I do it because it brings me a lot of joy. I love traveling. I love experiencing new things. I love taking pictures. I love being in pictures. Storytelling is so much fun to me. As a byproduct, people have told me that they have planned trips because my travels inspired them to go to certain countries, or my travels or my travel tips have helped them when they have planned their travels, which only adds to my joy because I'm already having so much fun doing it. And that the people who are benefiting from my work, from whatever I share, from what I know, are just adding to that feeling of joy. It makes me feel of service to those people while I'm already having fun. So essentially, there is this give and take loop that's happening. Sometimes it's conscious, sometimes it's not so conscious. But going back to the example of the engineer versus the doctor is out serving patients, but the engineer is also in that give, service, and getting joy loop because the engineer is using his unique set of skills and knowledge to create amazing products for service of the patient. So there is that loop of give and take that's always happening. Either it's conscious and you can see it, or it's hidden and it's behind the scenes, but that give and take is always happening. Number two, your purpose will make you feel important. It's going to make you feel that you are the only person that can do the thing that you're doing in that moment. It will make you feel like you are the SME, as we say in the corporate space. You will truly feel like the SME, the subject matter expert in that space. You will feel like only you can do that thing so well. And you won't even care about competition because you feel this innate sense of confidence that just knows, you don't know how, but you just know that only you can do something the way you are doing it. Again, we're not adding what the monetary value is. You're not talking about how much money you're going to make over the next person, but you will feel this sense and know the sense of importance that you have in doing the thing that you are doing. For example, when I started this podcast, did I think there were thousands of other podcasts out there that were already talking about the same exact topics that we're talking about on this podcast? Absolutely. But I knew that only I can tell stories and only I can tell my point of view in the way that I can say it best. The people listening to my episodes may get something out of those episodes only because I am saying it, and that may trigger them to change their belief systems, or it might trigger them to maybe go start their own podcast, whatever that may be in that chain of loop of events. I knew that I had to start this podcast regardless of who else had similar podcasts out there, that only I can do what I'm doing, and only I need to do this the way I am doing it because my voice is important. And I challenge you to think about your own lives and think about things that you are so good at. And you just know you are chosen to do that specific thing. It's not about one person being chosen over the other, or not one person's gift is higher or better than the other. But I believe that we all have something in us. That specific skill or gift is something that the world needs, regardless of who's already doing it or not doing it out there. So I really encourage you to dig deep into those skills that you already have. You might be a really great writer. There are millions of writers out there, but your story can only be said by you. Or that fiction you're trying to write, that story, that inspiration, the world can only receive it from you. That's why all the spiritual leaders, all the self help books tell you to express yourself and not care about what people think about you, because trust me, most people are in a mindset of if it doesn't bring you money, it's not worth it. And I completely encourage you not to fall down that loop, because I believe that when you truly love something and you're doing it with passion and love for it, you will be taken care of. I encourage you to dive deep into yourselves and find what that special gift is for you. Another example of how your purpose will make you feel important, we talked about the stay at home mom situation earlier. I don't think I even need to go into explaining how important a stay at home mom's purpose is. She is there at home 24/7, taking care of her children, making sure that they're fed, and beyond the taking care of and the physically, right? Like imparting knowledge, teaching them discipline, giving them morals and values and things they need to survive in the world. That stay at home mom's purpose is just as important, although it's overlooked so much. I think we're doing a better job of it now. At least back in the day, it was so overlooked. But a stay at home mom's purpose is just as important as a seven, eight, nine, 10 figure business owner. So, like I said, find that thing that makes you you, and you will feel a sense of importance because you believe only you can do it the way you do it. And that way is what the world needs. And that will feed into this loop of your passions, your purpose, and eventually your destiny. Number three, your purpose will make you feel self sacrificing. Having said all of the things we've said about our purpose, right? It brings you joy, happiness, you have fun doing it. It's not to say that your purpose is going to be easy. That's a misconception when it comes to purpose. People think that once they're in their purpose, they will finally feel happy and relaxed. No, I'm going to burst your bubble when I say your purpose isn't going to feel easy. There are going to be ups and downs, just like anything else in life. But the difference here, and this is really important, is that you are going to find the motivation and the energy to keep doing it anyway. I'm going to say that again. Your purpose isn't going to feel easy, but the difference is that you are going to find the energy within you to keep doing it anyway. You will feel a sense of self sacrifice because that blood, sweat, and tears will feel worth it. It will feel fulfilling. Even the days that are downs, you will still feel fulfilled because you participated in the thing that you love doing. And here I also want to talk about travel influencers, for example. They may have a million followers, online, and they might be running on 2, 3 hours of sleep a day, living out of a suitcase and constantly traveling from city to city without feeling that coziness of a home. But they're doing it with so much joy and they're doing it with so much love for the thing that they're doing. Are they tired? Yes. Are they exhausted? Would they like to just call one place home? Absolutely. But they're having so much fun doing it that they are okay with sacrificing all those other things to put their purpose on priority. So their purpose at that time is self-sacrificing. Number four, your purpose will feel uncomfortable. And I've actually talked about this in one of my, I think it was a TikTok or a reel, where I said that your purpose is hidden in your pain. And I think that's very true. As much as I say that your purpose will come to you naturally, it will feel very home like to you, it'll feel very natural. There's also a certain belief system that you have about yourself that you will need to heal, and a lot of stepping out of your comfort zone that you may need to do. One of my biggest insecurities as a child was just not being able to speak. I was extremely shy and I just could not open my mouth and speak, and I think about it all the time. I think about how I did not always want attention. I would always hide behind my parents and I wouldn't want too much attention. I wouldn't kind of want to be in the forefront of things, which is so interesting to me because it's so different from the things that I do now. And that transition was actually very uncomfortable. I had to push myself to be in places where I am being seen. I had to step out of my comfort zone and be comfortable with being seen. The fear of being seen was something that I really struggled with, but it's something that I've also actively worked on and healed. Your purpose is going to make you feel uncomfortable sometimes. It might make you feel like you need to change a certain behavior, change certain habits if they're bad habits. It may make you feel like you need to step out of your comfort zone. If you don't like interacting with people, it may push you to a place where you have to interact with people. The difference is that it goes back to where you feel like you need to do this because you just have that inner feeling that you need to do this and you will find a way to do it. If something is not worth it to us as humans, if something doesn't feel worth it to us, we won't go towards it. But if there's that voice inside of you that says, hey, I know you really don't want to do this meeting right now. I know you really don't like meeting strangers. I know you really don't like doing this, but you need to do this. Follow that voice. And that voice is very clear to us. It's just upon us if we want to value and honor that voice and follow through with it, or let that voice silence out. But funnily, that voice only gets louder too. And I know we all relate to that in some way, in some point in our lives. So now that we know what our purpose feels like, how it brings us joy, how it makes us feel important, how it's self-sacrificing, and also how it makes you uncomfortable sometimes, let's talk a little bit about how we can find what that purpose is or what that gift might be for those of us who don't know what it is yet. Everyone says in the health, self-help and self-discovery space, the way to find your purpose is to dive into your childhood and think about all the things that you really enjoyed doing as a child, the games you enjoyed playing. Think about that, and that will help put you on track to what your life's mission, purpose, or destiny is. And I had a very similar realization about this where I loved to play teacher and pretend to be a teacher while I was a child. This was between third grade and fourth grade time, maybe fifth grade. And I remember playing pretend teacher as a child growing up, that it's kind of sort of similar to what I do now with this podcast. And does this mean that I became a school teacher, although I played pretend school teacher? Not at all. But with my content and the podcast, I'm always looking to educate, and I get so much joy from just sharing what I know. And that was a really funny, interesting full circle moment for me. So I encourage you, as we come to the conclusion of this episode, to really dive into your childhood and pull out those specific roles that you really enjoyed playing or activities that you really liked, and sort of approach your journey to your purpose from that lens and be open to whatever comes out of it. It might look very different from what you initially thought your purpose would be, and it might even shatter those expectations that you had for yourself in what that purpose might be. But that's how the universe, I've noticed, works. Just be open to being a vessel and just allow the universe and God and your higher self to kind of take over and just use your body as a vessel to essentially fulfilling your life's mission and your destiny. I believe that your purpose isn't out there, and it's not on this pedestal, and it's not something that you need to achieve and be on the field and be doing these great things as society views purpose to generally be. Instead, tap into your emotions, your joy, your happiness, what comes to you easy, your gifts. Focus on those things, and your purpose will be a byproduct of that. By just following that, you will be one with your purpose, mind, body, and soul. With that, this is the end of episode 14 of the Mindset Mentors podcast. Don't forget to follow this podcast in whatever platform you're listening to me on. And also check out our Instagram at Mindset Mentors and our TikTok page, which is at Mindset Mentors Podcast. And also check out our website where we have blog posts every week. I will catch you next week with another fun episode.